Hello and welcome to our monthly Community Safety and Security Forum here on the Serenity Resource Connector. If this is your first time tuning in, a warm welcome to you. My name is Winsome Sharia Witter, your host for this program, and it's always a pleasure to have you here, whether you're tuned in live or you're watching the replay. All right, so we are looking at Clarendon Division on this episode. We focus on Area 3 of the JCF, that's Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth. But for this forum, we're going to be zoning in on Clarendon Division. And we want to say congratulations to our woman Sergeant Willock Gordon, who was with us here in Clarendon and has moved on to a new assignment. It was great working with you, Sergeant Willock Gordon, and I know that you will continue to make us proud wherever you go as you continue to serve and protect. And we are welcoming our new sub-officer in charge of the Community Safety and Security Branch in Clarendon. No stranger to the Clarendon Division. He has been with Clarendon Division since he started with the JCF over 10 years ago. And we're talking about Sergeant Leroy Chambers. And he has been in operations before, started in Four Paths, was at Community Safety and Security Branch, moved on to the Chapelton Police Station, and now he's back as the sub-officer in charge of the Community Safety and Security Branch. Welcome and congratulations on your new assignment, Sergeant Chambers. You're muted. Wow. Not sure what happened with Sergeant Chambers there, but I'm sure he'll be right back. So we are welcoming him to the sub-officer position at the Community Safety and Security Branch in Clarendon. He has been out in the fields already. We are zoning in on the new assignment, Project Star, that's added to their portfolio there in Clarendon. As we wait on Sergeant Chambers, let's take a look at what Project Star is all about before we bring on the others.
I'm Keith Duncan, and I'm here to have a conversation with Jamaican people at home, Jamaican people in the diaspora, Jamaican people from all walks of life about a game-changing project for Jamaica, Project Star. We want a Jamaica where every community can thrive, with opportunities, support, and the skills that they need to live a self-actualized and happy life, with good jobs, good income, or good business. So I'm going to ask every Jamaican to listen to this message and share this video with your family and friends. Please, just give it 5 minutes of your time. Project Star is a comprehensive socio-economic development program in Jamaica aimed at empowering communities heavily impacted by crime and violence by focusing on the root of the problem, not the symptoms. By leveraging public-private partnerships, we focus on equipping individuals and communities with skills and resources, fostering economic growth and improving social outcomes, enabling a safe Jamaica for all.
Everybody forward, 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 and forward.
Everybody forward!
Now here are the stats of our current state of affairs. Crime costs Jamaica about 5% of GDP per year. That's over 100 billion Jamaican dollars. Between 33% and 56% of our children graduating from primary school cannot read or write respectively. Although we say we have close to full employment, with only 6.6% of the population being unemployed, there are actually 500,000 people who are of working age who are just not seeking work. Why is that? We also know that 62% of our labor force, 6 in 10 people, have no formal training or certification. Small and medium business account for over 70% of all employment in Jamaica, and they drive 60% of our GDP, that's total goods and services produced in the country. But these guys only access about 10% of credit from financial institutions. There are 3 pillars to Project Star: social transformation, economic transformation, and community-led ownership and participation. This holistic approach will address in the main the primary issues that the communities grapple with and improve the social and economic outcomes. We have spent 7 months on the ground, 7 months in Rose Gardens and Parade Gardens, 4 months in Savlamar, and we're in the entry phase in Maypen. Our social interventions aimed at fostering a nurturing environment for children and families have made significant strides. A prime example is our early childhood school feeding programs, where we have improved attendance rates by an average of 17%, reaching as high as 35% in one school. We have also empowered 283 families with our parenting training and school-based programs. Furthermore, our focus on mental health, due to the heavy toll of violence and poverty, 153 residents are now accessing counseling and therapy support to create economic pathways by providing access to over 330 residents, helping them to achieve their vital documentation like TRN, birth certificates, food handlers permits. Financial literacy programs will be executed for individuals and small and medium enterprises, empowering them with the knowledge to meet their financial goals. Lastly, our community interventions serve as a connective tissue that holds our work together. In the realm of sports, we have engaged 448 residents in 77 sporting sessions. These sports activities improve social cohesion and are a pathway to job and entrepreneurship opportunities.
Project Star, thank you, great appreciation. I am now a waitress at the Rock Hotel. Big up Project Star. I never have no faith, I never believe it work out.
I've personally invested in Project Star, meaning I've put my own money into this. And many large corporations have put their money into this initiative. So Project Star's social IPO is about purchasing social shares. It's really a simple donation to community development in Jamaica. There are no financial returns. There's no capital gains. There are no dividends. What we are getting for Jamaica is returned economic and social outcomes for our community. Here are 2 ways to donate. 1, click the donate button, punch in your information, and go. Every mickle make a muckle. Or go and donate through buying the stock through your broker or online IPO platform. Now, Project Star is seeking to raise $250 million. So we are inviting you to donate. This is for Jamaica. We are creating a better Jamaica. We're doing this community by community. Transparency, accountability. So everybody forward. But I'm also asking you to please share. Let's get the word out. We can do this, people, for Jamaica, land we love.
That's right. We can do this for Jamaica, land we love. And I trust that you are taking notes of those stats. If you're just tuned in, you can go back and take a look at the video. But we're going to be having a discussion with Keith Duncan and Saffrey Brown from Project Star in a little bit. But before we bring them on, let's connect with Sergeant Chambers to hear what has been happening in the Clarendon Division, the Community Safety and Security branch to be specific. Sergeant Chambers, what's been popping with those different programs at CSSB?
Good evening. How are you doing?
Let me answer for the viewers. We're doing fine. Go right ahead.
Oh, great. All right, so we have been quite busy over the Emancipation and the Independence Weekend. We had a number of activities that we participated in. We partnered with the JCDC to host a number of events across the parish. So we had a church service, a Thanksgiving service, which was held on Sunday, the 30th of July. Then we had an Emancipation Vigil at the Grace Baptist Church. Then on Sunday, August 6th, we participated in the flag raising, the Independence Day flag raising. Then that culminated in a street dance at the old police station. And then Monday, we went up to Crop Sale, where we participated in the Donkey Carnival with the concert. So we had quite a busy Independence Emancipation Weekend. Uh, Leading up to that, we had the torch run, which the Clarendon division managed to raise over 200,000 to contribute towards our Special Olympics team. Also, we had a PYC camp, a Police Youth Club camp, where we had over 200 youth club members participating in skills areas such as painting, electrical wiring, and a number of other skills areas. So we had quite an eventful month leading up to now.
Quite eventful indeed, and I love the partnership, the collaboration, because that's what we're focusing on this month's live forum, collaboration. And we know that the Community Safety and Security branch can't do it by yourself. It's called community policing, and it's a coming together, and it's awesome that you've been doing all of those great stuff. All right, so as the new sub officer in charge of the CSSB here in Clarendon, what are your plans in terms of the way forward? What new can we expect coming out of
All right.
CSSB?
Thanks for that question. Definitely will be aiming to bolster the programs that we had already have implemented. However, being a past coordinator, I'll be definitely focused on youth development through the various police youth clubs. We'll also try to both on board as it relates to the police youth clubs in schools, not only in community. We also have a great program, which is the Gang Reduction and Prevention through Education Program, where we'll be aim to target vulnerable students that we consider to be at risk. So we'll be paying a lot of attention to our youth.
Fantastic. Any specific areas in Clarendon that you're looking at zoning in on?
There has been a number of activities in the Hayes Town area, so we'd like to go into that space and try to interact with our youth in a positive way and show them that they can grow in a more meaningful and sustainable way so that they can be positive contributors towards our society.
Indeed. Fantastic. Looking forward to hearing good results coming out of those locations. And I'm sure Northern Clarendon could use some additional support, but I know the team will be stretching. And in addition to all those programs that you have now, you're going to be integrally involved in the Project Star implementation. But let's hear from the Project Star team.
I didn't hear that question. Could you repeat for me?
Now, it's sharing that in addition to your current programs that you're working on through the CSSB, you now have the Project Star program that you're going to be adding to your portfolio. But we'll hear more from the Project Star team as it relates to how it is that the CSSB team will be working with the Project Star team to ensure that we get this collaboration and partnership transforming the space in Clarendon, because that's what the Project Star is about, transforming. But
Definitely.
let us hear from the Project Star team.
Definitely.
To that, right?
Yeah, we'll be
Don't go anywhere, Sergeant Chambers.
With the Project Stars in three communities, three focused communities.
Oh, we're having a little distortion of your connection.
Include Havana Heights, Tread Light.
All right, what he's sharing is that the three communities that Project Star is working with, Havana Heights, Racetrack, and Tread Light. And our president for the Parish Youth Council is congratulating you on your promotion and welcoming you back, Sergeant Chambers. one of the best coordinator we had. Looking forward for more impact through the PYCs. All right. Thank you, Reggie, for joining as usual. Make sure you send the link to all the young people in the Youth Council group so that they can join us to learn more about Project STAR and how they can be a part of what's going on here. Saffrey Brown is with us, Project Director for Project STAR.
Hi, Winsome. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Saffrey, and we have Keith Duncan with us.
Hi, everybody.
Co-chair.
Nice for having me.
Yes, but he is a proud supporter of Project STAR. I love that. Putting your money where your mouth is at. Keith, I love that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. All right. Horace Holmes is congratulating. All right. Beautiful. All right. So we shared a video earlier with some stats, and we're talking about partnership, collaboration. And for those of the viewers who might not be aware, Project STAR is actually a partnership between the private sector organization of Jamaica and the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Did I get that right?
Correct.
All right. And the community is at the heart of what Project STAR is all about. But just share with us, Keith, a quick overview as it relates to that component in terms of the partnership between the PSOJ and the JCF and how and the community aspect of it.
Well, thank you, Winsome. I'll give a high-level overview, and then we have our project director, Saffrey Brown, who can tell you the methodologies and why the community is so important to be engaged in delivering solutions across Jamaica, right? But first to say, the PSOJ, the private sector organization of Jamaica, and the Jamaica Constabulary Force has enjoyed a really productive working relationship over the last, from prior to COVID. We have enjoyed a really successful, meaningful, impactful working relationship with the JCF. I am a past president of the PSOJ, and we worked along with the police in rolling out what we call our PSOJ COVID-19 response fund at the time. And this was about really trying to get to the most vulnerable people in the most vulnerable communities. That means the vulnerable families, the vulnerable elderly in the communities that were in lockdown. And we worked along with the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defense Force and the non-governmental organizations, along with the Council for Voluntary Social Services, of which Saffrey Brown was the chairperson at the time, and came on in a voluntary role to really coordinate the efforts of getting care packages, food, nutrition, medical supplies into the hands of the elderly who were shut in during lockdown and COVID, and I said the vulnerable families. And we did this to over 83,000 beneficiaries over 46 months. And when we engaged with the JCF to partner with us on this, the commissioner said to me that the JCF had to deliver the package, hand deliver the packages, the police, because we're thinking that we would get the support of the police, and they would accompany us along in this effort to get some help to the most vulnerable brothers and sisters in the community. No, the commissioner said the police must deliver because he wants to build trust with the citizens in the communities. And then as a result, the JCF was able, and the police in the various parishes and communities were able to get into the areas of the communities which they had never seen or had the opportunity to visit with. And it really led to a great trust building with the community and the JCF. And the PSOJ, of course, facilitated, and Saffrey Brown had coordinated the effort. The JDF, Jamaica Defense Force, designed the logistics, and we had the other NGOs, Red Cross, Salvation Army, foundations, other various foundations coming together. So therefore, this is where the relationship was really begun with the JCF, and then, we knew that as Jamaica had achieved a level of macroeconomic stability, we're paying down our debt. We're happy about that. So our debt levels as a country has been reduced. We figure that, okay, now that we're over economic challenges in the main, we need to focus on the people. We need to focus on human capital development. And we need to focus on education. We need to focus on community development. We need to focus on equipping our people, upskilling our people, training our people, so that Jamaica, because the only way for economy to grow is for people to grow their own incomes so that they can spend more in the economy. And the only way for them to grow their incomes is for people to have opportunities to earn through jobs or through entrepreneurial activities. And the only way that we're going to help our people who have been living in marginalized, depressed communities for years, and they would need some social support, some social programs, some parenting programs, some early childhood programs, some psychosocial at-risk programs to work with our at-risk youth, right? To take care of our elderly, the senior citizens in the communities, So we have to pull all of this together in a social and economic transformation. And therefore, we were engaged again with the JCF, and we said, let's form this partnership once again to deliver social and economic programs to the communities, not a charity, but developing our people so they can be of solid character, so that they can have solid opportunities, they can have those economic pathways, and the JCF working together in tandem is our partner around this, right? And therefore, the partnership extends right down into the community level, and Saffrey can explain the kind of working partnership. We're just entering Maypen in the last 3 months. So so I know the relation. Winsome, I know the relationship has started to forge with the business community. I know that that the Project Star team will be working with all the stakeholders to really to move the program along, having identified those 3 areas in Maypen that we're going to focus on.
Great. And Saffrey's with us. All right. I'm glad you mentioned that, Keith, in terms of the range of people in the community that you'll be working with, because most of the projects that have come into the space before were primarily focused on youth. And those above that age range usually say, what happens to us? We had the launch of the LIFT program, and that's been the cry. What happened to the opportunities for those outside of that age range? So I'm glad you've mentioned that in terms of the wide range. It's actually the community as a whole that you're going to be engaging. All right, fantastic. So let's zone in, because I'm sure a number of our viewers are wondering what you're talking about collaborating for transformation.
Winsome, the important one and you had asked the question is around community-led and owned.
Yes.
And this is where I think Saffrey can explain. But I would say these programs have to be owned by the community, driven by the community, participate, consult with, work with, come up with the plans with the community. The community needs to drive these programs and own these programs and execute these programs for them to be sustainable. The community-based organization, the churches, the schools, the youth groups, they need to own these programs. You understand what I'm saying? We are a facilitator. And we work with you to develop the capacity within these organizations to be able to execute these programs, like we have been doing in East Downtown Kingston and in Savannah Lamar, and as we get into Maypen and build those relationships. And that is where the programs become sustainable. And we work with the ministries, departments, and agencies, the Social Development Commission, Jamaica Social Investment Fund, HEART, and Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health, and all of these agencies that have programs for the community. We need to draw on those programs, because STAR is not here to replicate anybody's work, duplicate efforts. We're here to work together and get the best out of all the organizations, the best out of the youth clubs, the best out of the SDC, the best out of the churches, the best out of all organizations, big, the community development councils, working together. And it's a whole away approach. Partnership collaboration. We are saying, let's own this together. You know what I mean? We're not going to work in silos anymore. We're going to work together to deliver comprehensive programs that touches everybody across the community.
All right. Sounds like Saffrey and the team are going in to identify some untapped resources and just mobilize those resources to get the community working the way it ought to. Sounds like it?
Yeah, so that's really what we look to do. As Keith mentioned, we really work through the community structures. At the center of that, and the first, obviously, stakeholder we engaged with was the local police through Superintendent Russell and his team, to really make sure that we were zeroing on the right space within Maypen that had issues around crime and violence, but had other issues around just kind of social indicators. And in working together along with Paris Luai and how we look at data, we really identified the communities that we're focusing on now, which as Sarge was talking about, Havana Heights, Racetrack, and Treadlight. But obviously recognizing that when we work in those spaces, we're working kind of different, they've got different kind of circumstances and situations. We did some community outreach where we started with some stakeholder meetings, really presented to the local political directorate, also presented to kind of local community-based organization reps to share more on the project. And then we've actually conducted a number of open days in each of the communities to start identifying, sharing more on the project with the communities and start to identify issues. And so that's been an interesting journey so far in terms of what they've identified. The structure that we have at the community level for STAR is that we have what we call the community intervention teams. That's made up of the JCF Sergeant Chambers working very closely with us, Superintendent Russell and his team, SDC, and our local project officers really form what is a community intervention team that addresses and looks at what the strategies are that have been developed, provides feedback, and really is that one on the ground that delivers the program. So currently, we are actually recruiting for our Clarendon team. We've been looking for our project officer. We've been looking for our social worker and a junior project officer. And they're the ones that will work in the space on an ongoing basis and really engage with the community-based structures. What we're seeing is that there are different kinds of community-based organizations. We know, for example, our early discussions with the JCF that, we're going to be working with them closely on some of their neighborhood watches and also the police youth clubs and how we really strengthen those organizations and those structures at the community level. And then obviously, some of those quick wins that we talk about in terms of employment. We've already started engaging in youth sports in the area as a really, really important activity. The communities in Maypen that we're in have really, they've got some good sporting facilities. I mean, Treadlight has the most incredible cricket field that I've seen anywhere in Jamaica. It's a really, really impressive field. Obviously in Havana Heights, we've got some fields that need some different kinds of infrastructure. So there's a lot of opportunities. We're really excited to be coming into this space and working with local partners. And we actually are supporting a summer program that's being that starts next week, Monday. That's being put on by the local church, by the Pennant Wood Citizens Association. And so we're really looking forward to starting that program with them on Monday. So we've hit the ground running.
I'm not sure what the MP stands for.
Not MP, not MP Duncan.
So Duncan.
Maybe they meant MR, as in Mr. Duncan.
Oh, it must be MR, right? Pastor Edwards, thank you for joining and sharing. Looking forward to the initiative of Project STAR, really taking off the broad base, I believe, is key. Indeed.
Well, can I just speak to the broad base?
Sure.
That, STAR really is delivered through what we call our community transformation boards. And the team is actually in the process of starting to form the initial community transformation board. So the community transformation board for the Maypen, what we're calling Maypen West, will comprise of the local church representative, local school representative, STC, local community-based organizations, local businesses. And these groups will make up what becomes a community transformation board that will work with us to identify, look at the data, look at the issues, to really kind of peel back what's happening in the area to get a real sense and understanding of it, and then to work with the community to identify the strategies and ensure that the strategies are being delivered. So the truth is that the Project Star and what happens in our community in Maypen West is very dependent on the community itself. And so we haven't predetermined the program. What we have done is built out a structure, a framework, which includes the Community Transformation Board, the Community Infrastructure, the Community Intervention Team. And now we're starting to work with the community to really identify what the strategies would be. And obviously CSSB and that team is at the center of the work that we do.
Indeed. And you can see the community led coming out in every aspect, because I remember initially we're looking at Maypen proper, but then when you came in and had that discussion with this SSB Russell rather, and his team, then you identified other areas that were considered of more dire need of this kind of support. Yeah. And that's how, because a number of people wondering why Havana Heights, why Treadlights, why, right? So it's the community-led approach coming out there. And I was on site when you all went into racetrack, and I saw the charts. And yes, it's the community representatives that are actually identifying these different areas. Very impressive in terms of the setup. Have you gone through all three areas already in terms of?
Yeah, we've done the open days. We've done the open days in all three. We think we need to do some more. But we've already started to build out some of the quick win activities, as I mentioned, around the sporting, the youth program. And we're starting to mobilize for our first cohort in the employment program. To get those who want jobs to just really move to get those in jobs. And obviously, Winsome, you and I spoke about, you know, the job opportunities within Maypen. We've already started to discuss with some of our partners. For example, one of our partners has a massive facility in Angels, just outside Spanish Town, and they've identified that they would be very interested in hiring quite a large number of people coming out of Maypen. So we want to make sure that whatever those sort of tributaries are, so even if they're not necessarily the jobs in Maypen, that people from Maypen are accessing the jobs that are available within a specific sphere, because that's important. And so we're looking at a number of things, and obviously we'll be working with you and the chamber on how we support with some of these jobs, access to jobs, and really strengthening it in that arena.
Indeed. Because that's one of the big cry. They want employment, and it's good that our youth want to be gainfully employed.
Yeah.
Because once we can get them employed, then we can minimize some of these risk factors.
But also, I think, you know, I mean, where Maypen is placed is really well placed to be able to provide services to a lot of Jamaica. What we found, for example, in racetrack, is a lot of the people in racetrack are technical workers, right? They're machinists, they're welders, they're mechanics, and they've got a lot of those technical skills at a time where we're finding shortages in industries across Jamaica. And so what we have to do is make sure if there's a high skill level, and our heart data is showing that there's a high level of training, those people who are trained from Maypen, that you have a skilled workforce there that now needs to access areas where they don't have a skilled workforce. And so we're really interested in how we kind of pair the skills in Maypen with the jobs that exist in other areas, to make sure that people have access to that. So I think that Maypen is going to be an interesting example, because you actually have you have a more skilled workforce than our other communities.
Indeed.
It's just one of the technical areas.
Right. That's one of the areas that we're not short on in Clarendon in terms of the young people who are HEART certified. Right. No, it's to connect them with the opportunities so that they can be gainfully employed.
Correct.
Because HEART has been doing quite a bit in terms of going all out to ensure certification across the parish. And interestingly, one of the councillors who were on our counselors update that our fourth Thursday program from Moko has actually connected some of these young people in that area who have been certified through HEART in terms of getting them employed. So they're now at home and they are working remotely. I found that rather impressive. So that's something that I'm hoping that some of the young people in these three spaces will be able to capitalize on. So those are some of the opportunities, right? So that's the employment side. But I know you go deeper than that in terms of the other areas, because we still have a number of our young people who do not have birth certificates, TRN, and those good stuff that you need to actually get employed.
Yeah. Well, remember, so one of the things when we look at the STAR model is we have what we call an economic pillar, and we look at employment and entrepreneurship there, but we also look at financial inclusion and strategic investments. And so financial inclusion is one of sort of really important pillar for STAR, because really financial inclusion is something that allows people to access opportunities when they arise. And lack of inclusion means that people cannot take up opportunities when they arise. And so we've got to make sure in a space where there are, where opportunities don't come by too often, we have to make sure that when they do come by, people are ready and able to grab them. And so that's something that we have to look at with our partners. Keith had mentioned we work closely with the MDAs, the ministries, departments, agencies of government. So working with JCF and the RGD and the regional health, making sure people are getting their food handlers, making sure people are getting their TRN, their birth certificates, making sure we're supporting people with getting banked, accessing financial systems. All these things are part and parcel of making sure that people do not have barriers to the opportunities when they arise, because right now there are too many barriers for people. Now, when we did our initial research in MAPEN, we did find that, again, out of our 3-star communities, the MAPEN participants did seem to have a higher level of documentation. So most people did actually, that we spoke to, that we did our survey on, did acknowledge that they have their birth certificates, their TRN. Many of them, they have their voter's ID. I mean, it was quite interesting to see that they were, again, more documented than the other communities. And so if they're more documented and they have the skill levels and the training, where is the disconnect here? And the disconnect might be in the access to the jobs, which again, being private sector led by with PSOG, means that STAR can really intervene in a real way. And a lot of people, as you know, have gone into entrepreneurship, but they've gone into entrepreneurship in a space that already has very limited economic opportunities and potential. And so you want to make sure that you're opening up those economic opportunities to outside of the community, so that the markets can be bigger and the potential greater for the local entrepreneurs.
Fantastic. Just love it. Remember, for those who are joining us live, you can ask your questions and post your comments, as Pastor Edwards led the charge in posting her comment, what she's looking forward to. Go right ahead and share. Saffrey, as we share, are there any other areas as it relates to collaboration that you'd want to speak on?
Yeah, so I think, there are a number of things, right? So STAR, as we mentioned, really works through the existing social structures. So first one that we're working through, obviously, is the JCF. This is a PSOG and JCF project. And so as the core partner, we're making sure that they're at the center of this through the community intervention teams. As Sergeant Chambers said, he's been involved in a number of our open days already. We make sure that they're very much front and center. But we also work very closely with STC that support us with the kind of community planning process. And again, Clarendon seems to have really good STC officers, and there seems to be very kind of active STC there. We've already had a couple of meetings at the STC office. We noticed that it's really quite vibrant and willing to get involved. And so we've also had a number of meetings where we've been invited to participate in the interagency network. So it's very interesting that there seems to be a lot of collaboration and partnership within the MAPEN space, which I think is going to make it very, very exciting to be part of that system. We don't have to create a system. All we have to do is really participate in a system that already works and see how we can support, where we can support, where we can strengthen, where we can intervene, to help fill some of the gaps and so on. The other thing is that we are looking for like where the star office will be. We want to make sure it's in an area where everybody can access. So as you know, when we're looking along the main road, somewhere where people will feel comfortable to come, that it become a little bit of a focal meeting point, where people can see it as a space to really start accessing local services, and sort of building those kinds of relationships. So those are some of the initial ones. And as we said, through the community-based organizations that are in the space, working with government agencies. So you talk about the LIFT program, in Treadlight, really looking at more of those kind of agricultural entrepreneurial programs and who's working in that space, versus in Racetrack, which is going to be kind of more technical, building and machinery and mechanics, who's doing that kind of work, where do we strengthen that with heart? And then Havana Heights, really having to look at a lot of youth development work, a lot of sports, a lot of sort of family support work and that sort of thing. So we do very much look forward to really collaborating with all the partners. Maypen looks ready, and as if they've been doing this work for a long time. So it looks exciting to us.
That's awesome to hear. Yes, we when it comes on to collaboration and that kind of network, already there in Maypen is just to capitalize on that. And I did put out an APB as it relates to the space that you're looking for.
Right.
In the agency meeting last afternoon. So hoping to get somewhere for you.
And obviously, as you know, we've also presented to your chamber.
Yes.
And so, and we've already engaged, we've already started our discussions with you and the chamber and stuff. So we very much look at it from all the different angles.
Fantastic. Right. And out of these different opportunities that's coming in, as you mentioned, the chamber, of number of businesses ask, why should I join the chamber? Well, what happened is that when Project Star came in and they were looking for businesses to supply different items, food and all of that, guess what? It's those businesses who are part of the chamber that actually got the opportunity to provide Project Star with those items. So there you go, business right there. And there are other entities coming in the space. And when they do call me to say, where can I get access to tents and chairs? You got to be a member of the chamber for you to be recommended, right? Once it's available among the chamber members, that's where the business stops. Greetings, Sir Thompson. Thanks for joining as always. All right, fantastic. All right. While Keith comes back on, let's share another promo video that he did so we can talk about the how we can support.
Project Star is a comprehensive socio-economic development program in Jamaica aimed at empowering communities heavily impacted by crime and violence by focusing on the root of the problem, not the symptoms. By leveraging public-private partnerships, we focus on equipping individuals and communities with skills and resources, fostering economic growth and improving social outcomes, enabling a safe Jamaica for all. So we are inviting you to donate. Here are 2 ways to donate. 1, click the donate button, punch in your information and go. Or go and donate through buying the stock through your broker or online IPO platform. This is for Jamaica. We are creating a better Jamaica. We're doing this community by community. So everybody forward. We can do this, people.
That's right. We can do this. And Keith has gone ahead and put his money where his mouth is at. He's doing it, project sponsor, and I've seen a number of other entities coming on board. And some people might be wondering, oh, but Keith and all the private sector organization people have money. We don't have much money. So Keith, tell them as the minimum amount that they need to actually be a part of.
Yeah, so, the minimum is, so you can purchase a investment in Project Star. And that investment in Project Star in social shares doesn't pay you dividends. You don't get a capital gain. The price don't go up. right? It is just an investment in your country, in your community, in Jamaica, in our people, right? And the impact that we have is a better quality of life for all of us, right? The private sector has come on board, and individual donors have come on board to the tune of $320 million. Project Star has a $2 billion price tag over 5 years. So we want every Jamaican to come on board. Every mickle make a muckle. One cocoa fill, right? And if everybody comes on board and owns this and is a part of it and feels ownership over this program, and we have to report to the Jamaican public, to the people, to the donors, to the investors, to the contributors to this program, and update them as to where we are through quarterly reporting, like any publicly listed company on the stock exchange, right? And we have to generate our annual report, and we have Pricewaterhouse on board. So we are very transparent because we want people to see the progress that's been made in terms of impacting communities and impacting people's lives, right? And for them to highlight, for Star to highlight that it is possible, if we invest in our communities and our people, how we can turn Jamaica around, right? So we have been able to achieve macroeconomic stability, and we boast about that, and IMF love that, and Inter-American Development Bank love that, and everybody praise us up internationally for that. We want to be known now for this community development model right across Jamaica, for having world-class education and community development, and that our people can earn more because they're trained up and they have access to job opportunities, access to be able to access funding, financing from financial institutions to grow their businesses, so that Jamaica can prosper for all. Inclusive, equitable society for all Jamaicans. So we have to lead the way. We have to lead the way, and everybody who can support and throw and give a little thing, $500 a minimum. You know what I mean? And the support. And when you make that investment in your country, and you can monitor the progress and feel a part of it, it's called a whole away approach that we're taking here. So please come on board. Every mickle make a muckle support if you can.
Indeed. And I'm glad you mentioned that it's a model. And the thing with the model, even though there are specific communities that this project is looking at, you can take that model and actually implement it in other communities.
Right.
So that's the beauty about it. All right. We have some great commendations. Audrey Guy, good night. All right. We have Ava Tomlinson from over there in Longville Park saying, excellent initiative. Let's go. All right. And I know Ava is, when it comes on to community development, she's a stalwart. All right. Yes, in Longville Park. I think she breathes community development. So we are going to get it done. And there you go. It doesn't have to be any major amount. Just each of us support. Even $500 is not going to break the bank. One less phone card for those who buy phone card. And sure, there's some things that we can forego so that we can be a part of the social transformation that we want to see. Because in the end, we all our benefits. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So all of we just need to forward and get it done, because we can do it.
Yeah.
I'm Michael Thompson. Our community peeps are in the building. Justice of the Peace. I'm seeing Justices of the Peace. I'm seeing Community Development Committee leads and our youth leaders here for the parish. So we have a good demographic here. And I'm sure a number of individuals will be watching the replay, because there's some persons who have conflicting interest on Thursdays, but they do get the information. And I'm sure some of our counselors are on from the different locations to share the information. Just continue to share so that even the children can be a part of this.
Can I just add in some?
Sure.
So if anybody is doing work within any of our communities or wants to signpost us in any direction, please email us. You can email us at community@projectstarja.com. So anybody that's in the space, Havana Heights, Racetrack, Treadlight, please reach out to us. Please let us know what's going on. Let us know about your organization or what work that you're doing and so on, so that we can start to sort of again strengthen build new relationships and make sure that we're engaging with those who are actively doing work in the space or have other programs within the area, because a lot of what STAR aims to do is really strengthen existing interventions that communities need. We don't come in to reinvent the wheel.
All right, we'll get the word out there. Thank you for that. And you did mention there's a church that's has an activity going on that you're actually strengthening, correct?
Yes, it starts next week. It's Pennock Wood Community Church. I have to look it up.
Pennant Wood, yes, it's Pennant Wood, yes.
Yes. So we start working with them on their summer program next week. So we're really excited for that, and we've been involved in it. There was a sports tournament last weekend that we were involved in. There was a little tussle towards the end of it, but that happened when we did our first community link up in East Downtown Kingston. We noticed our first event there was some tussles that haven't happened since, and so you understand that they're kind of these little kind of growing pains that you go through before communities get to a point where they feel more settled,
Right. All right. Welcome, Gareth. Sheena is asking if it's only financial support that's needed. How about human resources that can help?
Well, as I said, I just gave the email for anybody that's working in the space or wants to work in the space, or any projects or activities that are happening there. We are looking for our local team. So again, through a project officer, social worker, really looking to identify that. When it comes to our job placement, we do want to set up, and I spoke to Winsome about this, and she looked at me and smiled, a local employment committee to help us with job placement for our local groups. And so if there is somebody that has experience in human resources, Sheena, then that would be great in terms of really supporting us as potentially sitting on that committee, which is not going to be a lot of hours. It's just going to be at the points where we have these groups coming out of the training that we work together to really make sure that we get them placed as quickly as possible.
All right. There you go. You can support in different ways. All right. Fantastic. And I'm sure we are going to get it all coming together, because there are always activities going on in Clarendon. So, and there are so many different foundations. But one of the things, though, I should point out, I'm not sure if I've mentioned it before, is that we have a number of these different groups, but some of them are not registered. And that's going to be a little challenge there, right, Saffrey? So we need to encourage these different groups, foundations, different community groups to get registered, because that's how you're going to position yourself to benefit from these different opportunities coming into the space.
Yeah, and this is why the work with STC is so important, and making sure that we're supporting the strengthening, because the sustainability within the community is based on the kind of community-led governance structures, the community-based organizations, the local NGOs. Those agencies are all, and organizations are really, really important.
Thinking about volunteers with the skills compatible to the program. Oh yes, we have a number of individuals who have put themselves up to be a part of the project team. Right, Saffrey?
Right.
Yeah. Yes, and a number of others who are part of the Neighborhood Watch and the Police Youth Club, and the different community-based organizations in this space. So they will have the opportunity to actually be a part of it. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Very useful contribution, as always, Lady Sheena. All right. Lady Sheena is a member of our Chamber of Commerce, long-standing member of our Chamber of Commerce. Always great to have her input. All right. Let's bring on back Sergeant Chambers as we're talking about activities in this space. Sergeant Chambers, any of those upcoming activities on your list for those specific areas, or you're muted?
Right. The Mapen PYC will be having a cookout in the Milk River space in Cherry Hill. It's 1,500 to participate, so persons interested can reach out.
All right, so PYC is Police Youth Club,
Police
and
Youth Club.
At the 1,500 is 1,500 Jamaican dollars.
Right.
Do they have to be a member of the youth club?
No, they don't have to be a member to participate.
Fantastic. But I'm sure they're going to become a member after participating.
After being involved in the process, yes, they definitely want to be a member.
All right, great. Anything else coming up?
That's it for now.
That's it
for
now.
You'll be notified of any other events.
All right. And I'm sure our youth will be keeping us on our toes, as we usually have them sharing on Fifth Thursdays. So please continue to share the information, and remember, Project Star is in the space. They're steering the ship, but it's the team on the ground, the community safety and security branch, the community-based organizations that will be driving the activities that's taking place in the space. Any final word, thought, Saffrey, before we wrap for this?
Yeah, only really I think we're really looking forward to working in Maypen, primarily because the partnerships look like they're going to be really, really sort of strong and exciting. And again, this, we're talking about collaboration, and that's what's at the sort of center of STAR's collaboration. And then just working, it's our first kind of semi-rural community, because Sav is very urban and East Downtown is very urban. So really learning, and getting an understanding of what that means in terms of employment, what it means in terms of business development, what it means in terms of how people live. And so that's going to be really interesting. So we're really excited, and we just invite everybody to forward, as we like to say, everybody forward, and we look forward to becoming part of the Maypen family.
All right. And before Keith give the final word, Councillor Davis is saying here in one of our chat, very good program. Hope it can spread all over the parish, including most of the local communities. And he wants to commend the police for doing a great job in the parish. Keep it up. All right.
Congrats.
I just love what's going on. Yes. All right, Keith. Final thoughts.
Winsome, I want to acknowledge you for your leadership. You and I have had a working relationship over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
And Winsome, you have always been so responsive and always so solution oriented. And I just really do appreciate having this working relationship with you over the years. And secondly, I'm a Glenmere guy now. In other words, I went to Glenmere, so I'm a Maypen man. You understand what I'm saying? I went to Glenmere Prep. You understand? So therefore, I have my roots in Maypen. So therefore, I'm looking forward to getting down there, and I'm looking forward to working with the community. I love working with people. I like to see when people win and do well. It's very gratifying, because I know that Jamaica has so much potential, and we can max out that potential. We don't just need to do well in pockets. Every community can thrive. Every community can do well. And if every community does well, Jamaica does well.
That's right. And that's a good note on which to wrap this forum. We do this every second Thursday in partnership with the JCF Area 3, consisting of Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth. But we go live every Thursday in this space, looking at different area. The schedule is there. First Thursday, partnership with JCDC Culture Corner. Third Thursday, we're going to be talking with heart. We're going to learn about the exciting things. So make sure you pull out all the youth next Thursday to connect, so we can hear about the different programs that they're launching, implementing, and how they can be a part of that. For Thursday's counselors update, they're on a break this month, but we're going to be having the update on the local sustainable development plan coming out of the municipal corporation, where they're at. And we'll see how Project Star fits in the midst of all that's happening in terms of the development plans for the parish. And we reconnect with our councillors in September. We have 2 councillors coming on, sharing what they're doing in their space and the challenges that they're experiencing, their vision for the space, and how we can all be a part of the development taking place there. And on Fifth Thursdays, we connect with our youth leaders, sharing the developmental activities that they have going on and the challenges that they're experiencing. And we take that from there and we connect with the Parish Development Committee, Interagency Network, and get them the support they need to move forward. So we're closing by reminding you that we all need to come together and get it done. $500. I'm going to make my contribution before the 18th. Remember, we're looking at the target for the August 18th, right? So we're going to get it done. I need to do mine tomorrow. I set my reminder. So you all do likewise.
WhatsApp you tomorrow, win some.
Yes, please. All right. Fantastic. Have yourself a great night, and I'll see you same time, same place next week.
Take care. Thank you very much.